the Strength of America podcast.
All right, welcome to the fifth SOA podcast. Appreciate you guys coming in. We're getting excited about some of them coming in, some of the feedback we're starting to get as well. And this one we want to talk a little bit more about getting into the training specifically. And a big part for us is one of the questions we get is that quick first step. How do we get that first step? What do we make a difference? And I think for one of the things, especially with the number of kids that we work with and a wide variety from the very top, pretty good elite athletes to just that kid that has trouble moving slowly. One of the advantages we've seen is we don't have to have a great 40-yard time. Now, it always helps to have a great 40 and be fast, quick, and everything else, but we don't want to always be chasing somebody down. Playing soccer or soccer players that are out there, to get that ball and hustle to get to it first to react is much better than letting them get it and you have to chase it down and run. So what are some basics that we look for with some of the questions we get on how to get that quick first step?
A lot of it is recognizing your movement. Positioning is key. Obviously, we know a lot of things when you see someone first take off somewhere, first react and move. Generally, if something's going on in front of them, they're in a ready stance, their first movement is forward. And sometimes this is how we're kind of going, or drop back step, bio step, or a lot of different kind of terms it's kind of used in, but where you'll see different things. Some athletes will stay in a ready stance. I tell some mine, they'll punch out straight forward. Some will let their back leg shift as they pop forward. Generally, I myself am okay with either of those as long as they are leaning into the wind and they're in a good position driving out. The thing I do not like is when we see them sway back to load before they go forward. No matter what, body lean should be in the same spot or already moving forward, whether or not the feet punch out right away or drop and pop.
And I think where a lot of, we try and fix things or think that this is the way to do it. We've learned a long time ago that rather than fixing everything that happens, you've got some natural mechanics that happen with the body. And we'll say that. What I mean by that is that athlete that we have them start just to check them out with the feet together, ready position to go, and you tell them, all right, I want you to take off. You'll have some that will do here before we go. That's what I consider a drop back step. If I'm going away from my target to here, that's definitely not going to help. We definitely want to fix that. I've got an athlete that can just drop, push off. That's that plyo push off that he's talking about, that plyo step, making contact and hard move forward. That's what we want to get into that. But we just don't want them going backwards before we go forward. So that explosive movement here, that's terrific. If I'm in that ready stance here, we try and teach our athletes and explode without that, terrific. But we've got to make sure that we get that first power movement getting into position. But we definitely don't want them going backwards before they go forward in that position. So that's where we want to find. That athlete naturally has a tough time from here in a fixed, ready athletic stance to explode. If they need to get that plyo, that leg comes up to pump, great, big deal. Don't stop them from doing that and try and teach them, okay, just stay solid and move out. If it naturally goes there, great, let it happen. We just don't want them to go this way before we go forward. And as in the next couple of weeks, we're going to get into a lot more on our change of direction and my lazy leg I've talked about. A lot of other techniques on changing direction. Get them in the fact that if they're going to move to the right, they explode to the right. We don't go backwards to go forward, ever. So that body position we'll look at. So as part of that, take a look at this next little video clip we've got of one of my athletes we're working with to try and see just what we're talking about. And then I'll probably throw in a couple of others of just showing what happens with an average athlete and what their movements are. And then we'll talk a little bit about body mechanics and lean and things as well when we get back.
Bob Davis here with Strength of America. I want to talk to you about a couple things going on. One is a drop step. We get a lot of questions about, is it okay to do it? Is it not? What's going on? I would say yes and no. How they're moving and what they're doing is essential. Our main focus is getting that first step, that creating power, but we also don't want to do a lot of changing back and forth where they end up losing control. It's like taking you to a golf course and we give you all the list of things you need to do and your golf game's all over the place. So let's get control of the body first, but let's create power. So I want to take a look and we're going to see how he's going to do his step, his start position. All I want is in a ready athletic stance. He's going to face to the right. So he's got 1 foot behind him. He's in a ready stance. All I want him to do on the ready, on the go, he's going to take off just for 2 or 3 steps, but explode. Let's see what he does with his feet. Ready, go. Good. Now, so what we try and teach most of them is get that reaction coming off, which is great. That's where most do. Some of the athletes will come into a drop step. When we talk about with a drop step, it's actually moving that foot, dropping and moving off. What we don't want is a drop back step. So if an athlete is set off ready to go and their first movement on the go is move back before we go forward, that's a drop back. That's not a drop step. A drop step just hits the same position and we explode forward. So the body's in the same spot. We're driving off and creating power. No problem. Let's see if we can do it. Usually to teach him this drop step, I don't like to do it. Let's see what he does on his reaction. So on the go, he's going to see if he can drive off that leg and then kick. Go. Good. So again, that little step is all he needs. As long as his body doesn't move away from the target, that's the movement we need as our athletes. It's about creating power and movement. To learn more, make sure you go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/strengthofamerica. Select that below. Go to our main site, strengthofamerica.us, to learn about all these different videos we're going to be putting out in the next couple of months, leading into our 2017 summer Building the Complete Athlete. Thanks for being a part of the Strength of America family.
So a lot of what you just saw in that, there isn't necessarily a wrong way. In my idea, there's different movements, different ways we can kick out and get somewhere. Again, like Bob, my dad, was saying, as we were going through on different things, athletes will naturally kind of move where they feel most comfortable and fastest. But again, we have to key in and make sure positioning aligns with that. So that's where we kind of come in. But if we have an athlete that is super fast and moving great, though we don't want to shift and change too much besides some little things that can help enhance that. So you saw that athlete when they were in their split stance right here, loaded. You saw him take a quick shift to pop, kind of using his body like a spring. My opinion, I'm usually okay with that as long as they aren't loading that heel or weight shifts back on their heel or even getting extended. Because if I do a drop back step, notice you can kind of see my leg separation right here. If I do a drop back step, now I get extended. What I tell my kids a lot of the times that if I get extended, I have no more spring, I have no more pop, and I don't have a whole lot of traction to push the ground away right there. So I want to stay compact and coiled right here. If I have a quick dip before I pop, generally I'm okay with that because they're going to end up getting out faster. So.
Yeah, that's just that reactive, that reflex that we talk about. And with Carson, that you saw when he was moving out, one of the things that I really want to look at, we had to change for him a little bit, is his first movement. Typically, he had that plyo step, which is great to push, except it would move his hips backwards before he moved forward. Once we got better on that, he was actually driving off forward. That was great. The next thing I worked with him on was really trying to get control of that core and that body, because with that coil, he had a lot of power, but you saw also his chest would pop up before he goes forward. We remind him, look, I don't care what sport my athlete's in, if I'm trying to increase that power, I tell him a little bit, think the mentality of a football player. If I'm here, I'm driving off, I got a big athlete in front of me. If I'm popping off and exploding, number one, if I go back here, I'm going to be much harder to come in here for power. If I drive off here, I'm great, but if I drive off and my chest comes up, I'm going to end up on my backside. So we make sure we stay centered, so as we explode, here's where I'm going. My body's center generates right through the rib cage, all the way through the abdomen, really get that power. That's what we have to be. And that's getting control of that core. So Carson was producing a lot of power. Now we just had to get control of the body so it didn't snap him off center. He can use that to his advantage. Because I'll tell my athletes that are a little bit slower, you actually have an advantage over a fast kid. Because that fast kid that doesn't have control of his body, that control of melon, he pops upward. That bigger kid in front of him can just knock him a little bit. Because with that excessive power he's got coming towards me, a nudge will knock him off. And a slow big guy coming at me is harder to get off. But we teach them how to get that quick first step, how to produce power coming into it. You can't stop them. You're going to get yardage. You're going to get to a hole. And that's the whole idea of that, getting that first step. So what we want you guys to take a look at and use this. You've all got your smartphones now. Use them. Teach them. Because I can tell you, most of the kids think they're moving all pro. Everything's moving great. Everything's centered. They're coming off. When you show them a video of how they're really moving, especially if they don't get it. You can talk to them and they can fix it. Great. Don't mess with it. Let's get worried about the video. But those kids that are really off-centered or fighting their body, take a quick video, show them back. Because most of the time you look at it, they'll have no clue that was them. They think they're moving really smooth. That will then help them click into the brain, and their next step with getting them fixed is going to be much easier. So, that's, I think, a big part on this, on how to get that quick first step, is just hit the basics. Don't move away from the target. Make sure you're moving toward the target. If you need that extra little kickoff to move, terrific. You're going to have some say you have to do that, or some say you can't do that. Do what works. Get there to move. If you spend weeks trying to get that athlete to not kick off in order to move, you should have been spending that 3 weeks developing something else in that power. Because as long as they're not moving away from it, I don't think we worry about fixing that part, because I'm generating power. Now, if their kickoff is this move, yeah, then you've got a problem. We've got to fix some of those. But a quick explosive power, that's what we've got to get involved. So that's where we're going to do it. I want you to also make sure this week we're going to throw a couple of other videos. Take a look. We'll have a link below about our new YouTube page that we've done for the SOA podcast. We'll be putting the podcast on that. And as we're getting people who say they don't have iTunes or this, you can get the podcast on iTunes. We've got one also on podbean.com, which these links are going to be down below on this as well. Our YouTube page will also have that, the SOA podcast page. That will have it as well. So whatever your platform is, great, we'll have it for you. Also, as people get more involved, we're getting some great feedback about the vertical jump program we're throwing in, just as a thank you for following us and being part of it. The link for that's below as well, strengthofamerica.us/theSOApodcast. There you can sign up for the newsletter, just information. We're just going to send you things that are tips on nutrition, performance, extra little video we're going to throw out every now and then. We'll make sure that's part of it so our newsletter list gets that. That'll give you the link to our vertical jump program so you can have access to that. That's a website one, so you can get that wherever you are out in the field and show them things that they can work on to increase power and protect their knees at the same time. Keep the questions coming, theSOApodcast@gmail.com. But again, all the links are below. Follow us wherever you can get to us on there, and keep the questions coming. We've got more of them coming. So every Saturday morning, look for it. As you're part of this, you'll automatically get that contact, boom, it's going to pop up for you so you can watch it and keep up with the stuff that we're doing. We'll be announcing next week our first free clinic that we're going to be doing for the league or team out there that's been spreading the word about what we're doing. It's a 2-hour camp that we're going to put together in January, and then we'll be doing another one every month going out into that. So let us know if you have questions on getting a part of that. Anything else you got for them, Bob?
Just like Bob's saying, let us know questions. Let us know what you want to hear. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Honest feedback is great. We're young and new. We're trying to get somewhere and trying to spread the word the best we can. So on top of that, I think liking, leaving a comment, sharing with friends if you think they might like it it helps us get more of this content out to more people to try to help more people. That's our biggest goal. Just trying to spread the word, trying to help anybody and everybody the best that we can. So let us know, leave a like, leave a comment, even if you need to message us or let us know or ask little different things. There's lots of ways you can get a hold of us, so I'm sure he'll leave that down below. Outside of that, thanks for following along.
And a quick shout out to our monsoon players. Hopefully we'll have a big announcement for them when this rolls around. But they, actually there was a group of 11-year-olds, they did the state championship, won that here in Arizona. And they just had their first game Monday this week in their national championship down in Orlando, and we had an exciting game. They ended up 6-6, and they ended up going to overtime. The other team got the ball first possession, scored, missed the extra point. Monsoons got it, worked their way down to it, scored their touchdown, tie that again into overtime. First attempt to go after it, they roughed the passer. The guy was hurt, but one of our monsoons, normal, they just dig in and went for it. He went out, talked the coach into letting him go ahead and kick it anyway. They scored, won that first game of their championship playoff. So we're real excited. They've just worked hard and been with us all summer and with us for years working on things, and great coaching staff and athletes. So we're behind you. You have a good week. No matter what, you're doing a great job of making us proud. So Saturday we'll have some better news coming up to it.
That's right.
Thanks again for being part of the Strength of America family. We'll see you guys soon.
Stay relentless.